Functionally Literate. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Julia.
And together, for the third time, we're functionally literate. We read this book. That's the one rule of book club. Read the book.
And it's a good book.
It is a great book.
Yeah.
And now we're going to cover the last bit that we've read so far. So the last two episodes, there have been things that you wanted to say.
I know. It's been hard.
And now we're going to get to one of the big chapters that I know you've wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It's probably the one for you.
Well,
I mean, chapter 8's also pretty compelling.
I was going to say, for me, it's 6 and 8 that
We should actually say what we're talking about. We're reading...
I was like...
we're reading the 5th season, the book 1 of the Broken Earth series by N.K. Jemisin. She is a phenomenal fantasy writer.
Yeah.
I've read 2 of her books before. She did a duology, The City We Became. I don't know what that series is actually called, but The City We Became is amazing. And the second book is also good, but I mean, I don't think anything can compare to the first one, personally.
Did it crush your soul? Was it is it a devastating, heartbreaking book? Or duology?
In places, I mean, there's a lot of characters, right? Okay. But the chapters are long, so it's fine. You know, you have time to, be invested in whatever characters are in that chapter.
I like a short chapter.
I have a lot of opinions on chapter length, because here lately I've been reading, fucking Le Morte d'Arthur, and those chapters are short.
It has to be long enough for something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the break. I like having a break. And being like, okay, now I'm going to go do this. Or I'm like, oh, that was so quick. Let me just do another, and another, and another.
Right. Absolutely. So maybe more like a mid-length one?
Yeah. We'll say mid-length rather than short.
We have a book to talk about.
Okay, you're right.
It's all right.
I squirreled.
I mean, I took us off track. Yeah. I'm just as culpable.
And I will keep pace with you beside any tangent you want to go on.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's what I need. That is what I need. Chapter 6 through 8 is what we're discussing today. Chapter 6 is what we're going to get into now. Damaya, grinding to a halt, in which the Guardian tells the Grit a story and then teaches a terrible lesson. So yeah, there's some controversial things in this chapter, I think.
True colors are revealed.
Fuck Shafa, man.
Fuck Shafa.
Fuck that guy.
We have to, we liked him.
We liked him.
Yeah.
So here's where we have to come clean a little bit. We didn't like him in that first episode we recorded because we'd read up to this point.
And it was hard to be like, yeah, Shafa, what a great guy.
But in that chapter, we did like him.
Yeah, and he definitely...
All of those things are still true about him.
He still felt nurturing in some way at that moment for what she needed. Mm-hmm. But he sucks.
He, in this chapter, does all the horrible things that he does. Mm-hmm. But we still learn a lot about his character.
Yeah. Because
what he did wasn't out of malice. It was cold and calculated, and I'm not justifying it. Julia made a face.
I know, I did. I'm sorry.
I'm not justifying it. I think it's great character building.
Wait, what?
What?
You think it... Okay. It's great character building. Ryan, give me your hand, and I will break it, and we'll see how... If you feel like a bigger person.
His character, not hers.
Okay, I got confused. I was like, what are you saying?
I'm not saying that he should have done that to Damaya. That's so uncool.
Yeah.
To put it mildly.
Yeah, and we did we skipped a little here.
I mean, yeah, but we haven't actually talked about it. We haven't said the thing. Also, this is book club, so they should know already.
You're right.
So... We'll go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
It's just a day in the life of travel with Shafa.
Yep.
Right?
And Damaya.
And, well, I'm looking at this from Damaya's point of view, even though I shouldn't do that. We already have our character.
Right. No, but I think that's fine. That works, you know?
So she is thinking a lot about her life
Mm-hmm.
in this moment as well. Like, you know, she's thinking about her family. She's thinking about the life she's left behind. She's thinking a lot about where they're going.
They stay at an inn.
And
Shafa has some bad dreams.
Yeah, but she's, like, nervous about how to approach that.
Yeah. And their interaction surrounding his bad dreams is weird.
Yeah, because she's like...
How does she put it? She was like, you were snoring.
She just lies because she doesn't know how to tell an adult you had a nightmare. That's how her mother would say it, but is that appropriate to say to an adult? So she doesn't say it.
Yeah.
She just says, you were snoring.
Right. And he was like, yeah.
He's like, oh,
I snore.
Sorry, I do that.
Well, and do you think Shafa, like, I mean, he knew he was having a nightmare, right? So, like, maybe...
But he doesn't know that he said anything out loud.
Oh, that's fair.
My wife did the weirdest thing last night.
What?
I went to bed late because I was taking notes on this book.
Uh-huh.
So I go to bed at like 12:30 in the morning, and unfortunately our door, like, I cannot open it without making noise. Like, it's wood, and the door jamb is wood, and so it just
sticks.
It just sticks, and so I open it, and then she's like, she thrashes upright, you know, through these through the blanket, and she's like, no, and she's holding out her phone. She's like, no, and I said, yes, and she said, this is mine, pointing at her phone, and I said, that's right. And then she huffed and went and rolled over.
Oh, she was sleeping.
She was sleeping. And I said, do you dream about strange men coming into your bedroom and stealing your phone?
What'd she say?
She didn't say anything.
She was back asleep. She was like, don't worry about it. Did you ask her this morning?
No, I didn't think about it.
That's funny. No, this is mine. Wow, I love that.
It was so
Pause
weird.
Off
she just
phone.
She just showed me her lock screen. She was like, "This is mine." I was like, "I know."
You know, no debate here.
Anyways, back to this. Yeah, so he has a nightmare, and Damaya lies about it. She doesn't tell him. And then they ride for a bit longer. And you know, everything's gross. And Shafa's like, there's a fault around here. You know, there's nothing they can do about it. Alright.
It's just nasty.
It's just like this. You know, they weren't here 10 years ago, but they're here now.
Right.
And
the story.
So Damaya is told a story because, you know, she's like all caught up in her thoughts, and she's thinking, she's sessing.
Right.
And he's like, stop doing that. She's like, how the fuck am I supposed to not do that? I've always done that. That's what I do. I sess. Like, that's, you know.
It's her way.
I mean,
all she knows.
I mean, it's like if someone told you, stop seeing.
Right.
Or stop hearing.
It's just like how you can't stop that.
Smelling that.
It's what she is.
Yeah, it's what she is. She's an origin. So she just sesses.
She can't help it.
And so he's like, all right, I'm going to tell you a story.
Story time.
And this story, it's a good story.
Yeah.
To start.
Yeah.
But the other thing, though, is, like, I thought it was interesting how he plays with perspective, right? Because when he initially tells it, she likes it. But then he says some fucked up shit that makes her not like it.
Yeah. Because she thought she was
the hero,
and turns out
nah, she's the villain,
and he knows that, and he's like, "Oh, you thought."
So,
no,
hold on. What was the story? It was about history.
Yeah,
it was about history of the empire, and I think how the empire was founded.
trying to find it.
It's on page 88.
Oh, okay. I literally have that page.
Oh, well, there you go.
In my hands.
Shemshena. It's the story of Shemshena. During the season of teeth. That's right. I wanted to look at the appendix about the season of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what the appendix says about the season of teeth. So the first appendix is in reverse chronological order. So from the most recent apocalypse they had to the oldest one that they have in recorded history. So the season of teeth was from the imperial years of 1553 to 1566. For context, the most recent fifth season was imperial years 2714 to 2719. So this was 1200 something years ago. So that apocalypse was an oceanic shake triggering a supervolcanic explosion. It cracked the Arctic. An aftershock of the oceanic shake breached a previously unknown hotspot near the North Pole. This triggered a supervolcanic explosion. Witnesses report hearing the sound of the explosion as far as the Antarctics. Ash went upper atmospheric and spread around the globe rapidly, although the Arctics were not heavily affected. The harm of this season was exacerbated by poor preparation on the part of many comms, because some 900 years had passed since the last fifth season. Popular belief at the time was that the seasons were merely legend. Reports of cannibalism spread from the north all the way to the equatorials. At the end of this season, the Fulcrum was founded in Eumenes, with satellite facilities in the Arctics and Antarctics. So the story that Shafa tells Damaya is the founding of the Fulcrum.
Okay.
Because of this season that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the context that he's giving her, that she just knew because she grew up in this world.
Right.
Shafa tells Damaya the story of Shemshena. Shemshena was was bodyguard to this really powerful Origin, but he doesn't call him that. He calls him a Raga,
which is a slur.
And Damaya, in this conversation, realizes that.
Yeah.
And suddenly realizes she does not like this word. Before, she knew it was a bad word, but she did not know that it was a wrong word.
Right.
Right? Basically is kind of... I'm pointing at you a lot. I don't know why I'm doing that.
You better understand this.
You better understand.
'Cause there's going to be a test.
So yeah, he talks about how this Origin tried to, basically hold Eumenes hostage.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, hey, you do what I want, or I'm gonna take your city. And they're like, well, what do? We can't do anything. And so they fucking did some fucked up shit with their powers. What did they do? I blanked on that. Damn it.
They did some fucked up shit with their powers. This is what they do. Well, I don't know. Someone saves, don't look at me.
The bodyguard
saves
Eumenes.
Yes.
Saves Eumenes from the guy. And she liked that story. She thought that was an exciting
She thought
story.
she was the bodyguard.
Yeah.
She was not the bodyguard in Shafa's opinion.
No, in Shafa's opinion.
And what does he say that makes him well, because she was like, I liked that story. And he's like, I thought you might. And then he's like, but you have terrible power, basically.
That was the origin of he's like, that was the origin of the Guardians. Mm-hmm. That was when the Fulcrum was founded, and we watched the Fulcrum. And for we know, as Shemshama did, that despite all your terrible power, You are not invincible. You can be beaten. And she was like, oh, fuck. I
got this mixed up.
I'm sad now. I
Yeah.
don't like this story anymore. You've made me not like this story anymore.
And so we start to see more of Shafa's intentions. No, that's not the right word.
His true colors.
His true colors, yes.
Like, because, she really likes him, she thought that he liked her, and so, she's like, but I want to be responsible for myself. I want to control myself.
And he's like, not happening, not possible.
You can't do that,
Mm-mm.
because you are what you are. You can kill people in an instant, and you will when you're threatened, and that's not your fault, but it is true.
He says, we need to make sure, like, as your guardian, it is my job that you remain helpful, not hurtful.
Yes.
So
you gotta be trained.
You gotta be trained, and we're gonna use you for our needs.
Yeah. You
have no responsibility over yourself anymore. Congrats.
And so she kind of is a little more insistent, like, no, like, I can be responsible for myself.
Yeah, she, like, feels like she's gone. She went a long time for a child to not hurt anybody with her abilities, right.
And so he's like, you think you can be responsible for yourself? She's like, yeah. And so then, like, he takes her hand, and he's like, okay, be still, little one. I'm gonna break your hand now. And she's like, what? And then, like, he's just like,
crushes it.
Like, what are you, And then, it fucking breaks her hand. And the description is very vivid.
It's horrible.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Good job, NK.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It was great. Great in a horrible way, obviously. Yeah. And she's just like, you're like, it's just a real hard shift is what it is. And this poor baby, like, taken away from her home.
And then he's like, now listen to me.
With a man that has wide eyes, I'm gonna break your hand.
And then after he does that, he's still talking to her. And he's like, hear me.
Yeah.
And understand me. Right? He's like, you can kill me in an instant.
Yeah.
Control yourself. If you can prove to me that you won't lose control in this moment, because he holds a dagger up to her too.
Yeah. Well, because he breaks her hand and then is like, I'm not finished yet. Like, I'm gonna just continue this pain. And in my eyes, I'm like, why didn't she kill him? Like, she could have just ran off. Like,
and I think that it's good that she didn't. Because I think that if she tried, she would have died in that moment.
Probably.
I think he would have killed her.
Right.
Because I have another hypothesis here.
Okay, let's hear it.
I think he can sense her sensing things. I think he can sense her sensing.
What power do you think he has?
I think he's got a few. I think he can LoJack her for somehow.
Okay.
Like, there was a moment in this chapter where he did it again. Like, he touched her and then, like, a weird spark happened. And so he can do that. I think he can sense her sensing. And I don't know about this one, but it's happened a few times now. I feel like he can read her thoughts when he does this thing to her.
Interesting.
Because she thinks I thought he liked me. And he, looking at her, says, I love you.
Yeah, he tells her.
He's like, listen, I'm not doing this because out of malice. I'm doing this because you can fucking murder everyone.
Yeah.
Without even trying. What happened with that boy? And she thought back. And she was like, I got scared and angry. Yeah, you did. And you nearly killed him, and you didn't. And thank God you didn't, because most Origines aren't so lucky.
Yeah.
Most Origines kill their family on accident. You have to be trained. It's like, fuck.
Which it's like, yes, she does have to be trained.
But do you have to break her fucking hand?
No. No. It's excessive. And, like, it's also, we have this, like, manipulation is in play.
So much manipulation in play right here because he's so calm while he's doing all of this.
And now we look back and the manipulation started the second he walks into that barn.
And she recognized it too. She's like, I like that he's at least pretending to give me a choice.
Right. Right.
But that's how she thought of it in that moment. I like that he's at least pretending to give me a choice.
Shafa is master manipulator.
Master manipulator.
And so, he's done this a million times.
And then he's like, now hold still. I gotta set your hand. And then, like, he shifts all the broken bones back into fucking place and then positions her hand in such a way that she can, like, keep it still without jostling.
She's writing, so, like, that's painful. It's not, we're not in a smooth car situation, it's, like, bumpy. She's gonna be in pain. And that night, poor baby girl.
She has a bad dream.
She does.
And then she does the same thing.
I know.
She's like, was I snoring? I do that.
Well, that's too where I was like, okay, they both, maybe at that moment, Shafa was like, oh, she knows that I have my nightmares.
Maybe. But it was interesting because when she woke up, she didn't remember, like, what had happened right away.
Right.
She smiled at him, and he was shocked, like, aw, you're smiling at me.
Yeah, I just broke her hand.
And you still like me. Great. And then she remembers, and then she loses the smile.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah. No, but... So, going back to the conversation, though, there was something else in here that really stuck out to me, was when she was trying to get away from him after he had broken the hand. She's like, no! And he's like, never say no to me!
Power and control right there.
You don't get to say no.
Yeah.
You are an origin. Listen, I will break every bone in your body if I think that means it'll keep the world safe. It's like, fuck, man. Jesus Christ.
He takes his job a little too seriously.
And this is his sixth kid. He's good at it now.
Yeah. I wonder when we'll start getting, like, more backstory on the Guardians.
I imagine very soon.
Yeah. Like, what? Why do they get to be in charge? Why are they not seen as a danger if they have these powers?
I can answer that in chapter 8. Hey, you had a thing you jotted down. Was it this chapter?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. It's still not. It's chapter 8.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, we'll get to that at chapter 8 then.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you think that's everything we needed to talk about chapter 6?
Yeah, it's the big thing we know who Shafa is now.
We know who he is. He's a fucking asshole.
He's an asshole.
Chapter 7. You plus 1 is 2. You travel with the boy Hoa, who tells you he can lead you to your daughter. Okay, so we are... What's her name again? Shit, I'm bad at it. Asun.
See, I'm going to remember sort of what it sounds like, but you'll remember the actual name.
Once you remind me.
Yeah. Like...
Asun.
There we go. Dream team.
We wake up, and Hoa's here, and
I love Hoa.
Hoa is interesting.
You don't trust Hoa right now.
It's not that I don't trust him, it's that he's not a boy.
Oh no, he's definitely not a 6 or 7 year old.
He's not the age that he looks like, and indeed, I don't think he's 6 or 7 at all. I don't think he was just born.
I think he's maybe a couple 100 years old, possibly.
Yeah, I think whatever he is not. He's not like a few days old. He wasn't just born.
Right.
His body maybe was just born, but he wasn't. That's my speculation.
And we find out right away, like, too, and I think we said this earlier, that he was, like, super muddy, super dirty, but I think this is possibly the chapter that we find out how muddy Hoa is.
Because, this is the chapter. Because we don't have another perspective like this in this episode.
Right.
Because we're doing chapter 8 next, which was Syenite.
Syenite.
Syen, that's her chapter, is the next one.
Well, and he's she makes him go take a bath.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and...
He doesn't know how soap works.
I know.
And she humors him and is like, we're like, he must know, but he doesn't.
If he's a couple hundred years old, has he just, like, always been dirty?
So Aesun has no idea what the fuck is happening.
Right.
But we, not Aesun, we know.
Right.
Like, this is that kid from the prologue.
100%. Okay. Okay.
Right? Like...
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I thought that, potentially.
I believe that.
Okay.
I believe that, because this is not the first time the boy was referenced.
Right.
In one of the other chapters, it was like a passing sentence, there was reference made to what the boy was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I didn't make that up.
No. I mean, the prologue... That makes the most sense.
No, it was some point in one of these second person narratives that a reference to the boy was made.
I'm gonna take your word on that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, so he has ice white eyes.
I know. So is this how a guardian is?
I don't know if it's a guardian trait.
But why are we saying... Oh, you think it's just, like, more broad within maybe a certain, like, demographic or...
I don't know.
Ethnicity? Because that's... If we, like, that was, like, one of the big defining traits of Shafa.
It is.
The ice white eyes. And so...
Well, it says here that we've heard that in Humanus, among the breeder use caste, ice white eyes are especially desirable.
Okay.
So I'm alleging that he is
a babe.
I am alleging that he's a stone eater and he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He's like, I have ice white eyes.
Right.
This was a choice.
Yeah. Interesting. And is he an easy travel companion?
He is.
By all accounts. He's just walking.
He'll just walk.
She says, she rests a little bit more than usual for him.
And he appreciates the resting, but he walks. When he walks,
but
he walks.
But he's fine.
Yeah,
he's doing fine. And so...
We give him clothes, don't we?
Yes.
Good.
Not like a full, like, just like I think it's giving a shirt.
Good for us. I'm glad we did that.
We did do that.
I'm glad we're doing more of that and less of murdering people.
I'm
glad
it's a positive step forward.
I'm glad we're being a human today.
Yeah. You know what? Everybody makes mistakes. So, it's a learning lesson. You live and you learn.
Yeah. And so, after he washes, we discover that he's just white.
Yeah.
He's straight up white, and that's weird. Why is he white? That's not common. Is he albino? What's happening right now?
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
We don't know. And then, he says some weird shit. He's like, I don't cess like you, but I can cess people like you. And I know where your daughter is.
It's literally giving guardian.
Maybe he took the form of a guardian.
Because, like, again, sorry, pale skin, ice white eyes.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you literally just said? He can cess the cessing.
Yeah.
It's guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Of some, like, he has those abilities, unless there's overlap.
Maybe. I don't know. But he's straight up like, I know where your daughter is.
Well, because she tries to ditch him, basically. She's like, I'm going to drop you off at a comm.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for you to go.
It's time for us to go our separate ways. And then, he's like, I have more information.
She's like, why did you tell me this? Literally.
I was like, well, okay, fine then. Show me where my kid is.
And she trusts him because he has details, doesn't he, that, like, makes her believe him?
Hoa says that they are moving faster than us.
Right.
They are resting at the same time, roughly at the same times that we are, but they are moving faster than us. And we know that tracks because our husband stole our horse and cart.
Yeah, he did. It's like, when will it end?
When will it end? This
Rude.
fucking man. This fucking guy.
This guy has no respect. And so we're going to chase him with Hoa, and we're going to find him.
Fuck yeah, we are.
I mean, and like, I don't know. That was like the biggest aspect of it. And now they're just continuing on.
We're continuing that journey.
We're going on our journey. I'm interested to see if we catch him. And if our daughter is still alive, for the love of God.
I'm inclined to believe Hoa.
Okay. For now, at least.
I'm inclined to believe that the information he's providing, even though it's not all the information, is true.
I agree. I do want to trust him, but the Guardians have a bad taste in my mouth. He is up some things that are
I don't think he's a Guardian.
I know.
I think he's a Stone Eater taking the form of a Guardian.
To be able to
do the things that he's doing.
Okay.
Because I think that is what the Guardian's power set is.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, Chapter 8. Syenite on the High Road, in which the mentor, Alabaster, takes Syenite on an adventure to a node station, and where Syenite learns the truth of node maintainers therein.
Yes!
So this is a really good chapter.
I love this chapter. I hate this chapter. I've had thoughts about this chapter.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm all ears.
I mean, it's hard because I just want to jump into like that one note that I took at
and it's about the very end, isn't it?
It's about no. I mean, okay, it's about so they're still having sex. Still trying to get pregnant.
Did that happen? That was confirmed?
It's not confirmed she's late.
Right.
But he's like,
and
we've been traveling. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Like, traveling's not easy on the body.
This is where my note comes in.
Yeah.
And it's based off your theory.
Okay.
Of this being us.
Uh-huh.
Asun.
Whatever.
We probably said it different. Okay. What if Jija...
This is Nasun.
Well, yeah. Okay, what if Jija is not the father...
Of the kid.
Of the kids. Of both the kids.
Of either?
Yeah, well, maybe...
You don't think he had a kid with Jija? She had a kid with Jija, rather?
I think it's a possibility. My thought is maybe... What is his name? Shit.
Alabaster.
What if Alabaster is the dad?
Of both kids.
Of the both kids. It's a stretch. A stretch.
I can buy Nasun.
Okay.
I'm inclined to believe that Jija did sire the second child. Assuming that this is Nasun.
Okay, this may track more too, but I was just like, when you said that, it would make sense because part of me feels like too, in this chapter, while there is some very complicated feelings that they have towards each other during different aspects in time.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't not that there's romance. I don't think that that's the right word for it. I think that there's
some kind of kinship for
There
sure.
is a connection.
Yeah.
They have a connection. 100%.
It's nothing to do with the sex. They don't like fucking.
No, but they have a connection, like some sort of bond. I don't know, because sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, but there's something there that makes me feel like there's I don't know.
I think based on what Alabaster said, because he asks her, why do you hate me? And she doesn't have a good reason. And then he alleges a reason.
Yeah.
I think the reason why that connection is there is because of what they are, right? They are both origins. They're both stuck in this shitty fucking situation. Mm-hmm. Even though he's a 10 ringer, even though he is powerful enough and, has what's the word? Because to get to the point that discipline.
Yeah.
To get to the point that he is in now, he had to show a lot of just discipline.
Yeah.
He had to... I'm wondering if Alabaster was the man in the prologue.
That's another interesting theory. So we have Alabaster.
Mm-hmm.
We have Hoa.
Mm-hmm. Syenite.
Yeah.
Uche. Asun.
That you could very well be right.
I don't know. I mean, we've only read 8 chapters.
That's true. I think it's like more kind of with the relationship too. Like he's just sitting there. He's keeping earthquakes from happening.
Yeah. That's the arc of the chapter, right? Is like she's been noticing him doing something.
And he's exhausted. He said, "Today drained me."
And so it takes a couple days and she finally realizes that.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? And he's like, why am I eating? No, that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, so you can sense that. It's like, yeah, I've been sensing it this whole freaking time. And he's like, well, then why didn't you say anything? It's like, because I was trying to figure out what you were doing. Well, why didn't you ask? She gives him a death glare.
Yeah. She's like, why would I ask? Like,
why would I ask what you're doing, you freaking psychopath? You're a 10-ringer. Of course, she doesn't say any of that. Yeah. But, like, she does not.
There's the power dynamic still.
There's a
which
huge
I don't
power
think she maybe
there.
cares about that much.
She cares a little bit.
A little.
Because she liked, in the last chapter we had with her, she liked that she was in control of the sex. He didn't want to fuck her. He didn't want to refuse her. And she had the power in that situation, despite the fact that he repeats multiple times in this chapter that he could kill her.
Right.
Because they reveal an interesting aspect of orogeny, which is that whoever the more powerful orogen is, every single time is going to be the one whose will is exerted over the land.
Right.
Right? Like, the weaker orogene cannot counteract a stronger one.
Yeah.
So I thought that, that's interesting. The duality of the power in this relationship.
Yes.
That they have.
Totally. And we start to see some motivations for Alabaster a little bit.
Because he's like, every quake that I still, every micro shake that I still, is a micro shake that a node maintainer doesn't have to worry about. And she's like, why the fuck would I care about that?
Who cares about node maintainers?
Like what? So?
Yeah.
So, and he's like, you should do it too. And she's like, why the fuck would I do that? Then I would be, and then she thinks, just as tired and useless as you are.
Right.
And then she stops and thinks, well, wait a minute. Okay, if he's doing it, and he's a 10-ringer, it's probably a good reason.
And she only knows, like, what she knows.
Yeah.
About, like, these...
Which you don't know much about node maintainers. You just know that...
You think that they're kind of they are the failures a little bit of the school, right? Like, they can't control...
You know that they are people that aren't as good as other origins.
Yes, so they get this shitty job...
of just maintaining shakes.
Right. She's like, it's boring, not fun. That's all she knows at this time.
Right.
Wow.
And so she's like, why the fuck would I do that? And then he's like, you should do it. She's like, okay, well, there's probably a good reason why he's saying I should do that. So she's like, okay, I mean, I won't. Sure, I will make the job of some guy out in the middle of nowhere a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. And he's like, good.
As you should.
And then a little bit later, I think after they fuck.
Yeah.
Which, the description of that sex scene was also interesting for me because, I mean, again, I'm a guy, right? And like every sex scene in any book that I've ever read has always been from the male perspective, for one thing. And so the idea, it's interesting because this sex is again not sexy at all, and it's the opposite of sexy because she's just like, she's just going through the motions and, like her tits are getting sore and her thighs are chafing and it's like, man, mood. I mean, I don't relate, but it's like, I feel that in that description. It's like, this sucks. Why are you doing it?
She's so over it, I think. Like,
yeah.
She's like, get me out of here, but they still have some sort of connection. Like you said, the sex is not sexy. It is all mechanical for all of them.
Yeah.
But what also...
After this, I think it was like that night before he falls asleep or the next morning.
Oh my god.
He says to her that they're gonna go to the next nearest node station, and she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Every origin should go at least once." And she's like, "Okay." And then while in the middle of the night, this fucking quake happens.
This is crazy.
Huge. Yeah. It is the craziest fucking thing. You want to go ahead?
No, because I didn't totally understand what was happening.
So this huge fucking quake happens, and she doesn't even realize it.
They like share powers though, right? Or like he like puts his power on her.
So this both. So first, what happened was he gasped, and she knew something was happening because he gasped. He sensed what was happening before she did.
Yeah.
And so then, she does sense it, and she's trying to still it as best she can, but his power overrides hers.
Yes.
Right? And he forces everything to still as best as he can, and he forces her to do the same, which confuses her because everybody knows what I just said earlier. Right. Everybody knows that, like, the more powerful origin their powers are gonna like take more effect, but you can't like you can't like have two origins do the same thing.
She didn't know this could be done.
She had no idea that whatever the fuck Alabaster's doing could even happen. Yeah.
I just kind of love him.
And so then there's a certain point when they're quelling all of this that he can't continue.
Yes.
And like somehow gives his power over to her. And so then she feels what it's like to be a 10 ringer.
Yep.
And just quell everything that he did it.
Right.
Right? Like that's pretty much what happened.
Yes.
And then he's unconscious. They both are. She wakes up before him. Then he wakes up and he's like, "We gotta go." And she's like, "Fuck no."
What just happened? We just did something I had no idea was even possible.
And he's not answering any of her fucking questions.
He's like, "We gotta get out of here.
We gotta go to the fucking node station." And she's like, "I'm not gonna go to the node station in the middle of the fucking night. We're gonna kill ourselves if we do that. You're gonna kill yourself if you do that." Like he's like, "I'm not doing that, and I don't care if you report me for insubordination. I'm not fucking doing it." And he's gonna go on his own. And she's like, "Don't fucking do that because she's like, look, listen, man, listen. How you said it's really important we get there as quickly as possible, right? If we lame our horses because we're traveling in the middle of the night, how long is it going to take us to get there then?" And so he sees reason. And he's like, "Okay."
And they go back to bed.
And then they go back to bed.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this was when the comments about her period happened.
Yes. I know. I jumped. I was excited to explain my theory.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm fine with us getting to the chapter at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And is she pregnant with?
Maybe.
We
don't know yet. I mean, we don't know.
They go.
I think it's interesting that he was like, he makes a comment about like, "Shouldn't you have had your period by now?"
She's like, "Oh shit."
She does the counting in her head because she hasn't done the math for a while. And she's like, "Oh fuck, you're right." And then he's like, "It's probably nothing. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Like, travel's hard on the body. Like, it's not unusual that you wouldn't have a period right now, even if you weren't
They've
pregnant."
been out.
Is that accurate? I don't know.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Travel's totally hard on the body.
Stress, like anything like that. You can like not get a period for weeks because of it.
Like,
it's totally possible. So he's right. This is very much a reasonable thing that could have happened.
This is how you know a woman wrote this. A man wouldn't know that.
Yeah, 100%. No. And I'm here to be like, is this true? It can happen. So, she could be pregnant, or she could very well be.
It could just be the stress.
She does have plenty of reasons to be stressed right now.
She's been riding on horseback, fucking a guy she doesn't want to.
And you want to know what? It's gonna get worse.
It is, because they go to the node station.
Yeah.
Does anything interesting happen on their way to the node station?
Yeah.
What happens on the way to the node station?
No. Literally nothing happens. They make it to the node station, and it's fucked. Everything is frozen solid.
It's fucked. Yeah. No, everything around that node station is just completely
wrong,
frozen.
nasty.
Everyone's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go ahead and make their way into.
They go into the node station and they see the node maintainer, and the node maintainer is
naked, dead,
naked and dead, and in a weird wire chair,
and has something hooked up. What's the official term? So
she didn't have a word for what they put in him.
Yeah, so
there was
for his pee.
There was tubes and wires and other stuff jabbed into him, and there was a feed bag surgically attached to his stomach, and she was like, "Oh God, that needs to be replaced." But none of that matters because this kid's dead.
Yeah,
because this node maintainer is a kid, and this node maintainer is his kid.
And it's crazy because she doesn't realize that right away.
No, she doesn't realize any of that. She just realizes what she's seeing. I have a phone call from my wife. We're going to take a quick break. This episode is brought to you by me. I made this show, and I'm proud to say that this is our 21st episode.
Hey, we can drink.
Do you know why that's significant?
Why is that significant?
Because did you know that 90% of podcasts end before they make it to their 7th episode? And 99% end before they make it to their 21st episode.
Man.
That means
we are in the top 1%.
That's right. We're in the top 1% of longest running podcasts officially.
I'm a 1%er, folks.
Yeah.
I've made it.
We're proud.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do we get yachts?
I'm honestly, I'm pretty happy that we made it to this point. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I just thought that we would maybe take this time to kind of discuss what you and I are going to be covering over the next year.
Well, this started as my personal project to read through the history of fantasy and sword and sorcery writing.
Yeah. Is that still the goal?
That is still the goal. My ultimate goal is to be a better storyteller.
Yeah.
A better dungeon master.
Yeah.
And generally more culturally literate.
Do you feel like that's already beginning to happen?
Yes.
I feel that way too.
Yes, much more so. And I think because we accidented into this more scholarly effort of reading mythology and classical literature, thinking oh, we're just dumb nerds, we're going to read some fantasy stuff. And it's no, this is actually a very hotly debated scholarly text.
As it turns out.
Oh, crap. We didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's what Zach and I, what we're going to continue doing. We're going to continue to cover mythology, and, we're probably going to be sticking with Lamorte Arthur for a while.
We've still got a lot to go.
Yeah. Julia and I, she and I, we just finished recording book 1 of the Broken Earth trilogy. Those episodes are going to be, coming out, and, we liked it. So we're going to finish out the trilogy. After that, she picked an urban fantasy series, and I picked an urban fantasy series, and we're going to alternate between those books. Actually, no, it wasn't an urban fantasy series she picked. I picked an urban fantasy series. She picked a trilogy, each book being 900 pages.
Nice.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so if you want to support the show, there's details in the episode description. So be sure to check that out. Back to the show. We're back. My wife is done calling me. She's doing well.
The cake was dry?
Yeah, she went to a...
I probably should have.
No, it's fine. She went to a bash, and there was cake there, and it was dry. So she didn't have any of it.
Real shame.
She has a head cold, unfortunately.
Oh, that sucks.
It does. Yeah. But anyway, so we were discussing this node maintainer.
Yeah, who is deceased and had essentially no life at all.
Yeah. Yeah, no life at all. And so he had no conscious life.
Yeah, in terms of, like, it's not living, sitting in a chair, getting food fed to you through a tube, peeing through another tube.
The child, as we would recognize one, was no longer there.
Yeah.
His higher brain functions were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because... No, go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say, and we know it's Alabaster's son.
Yeah.
And it's like, he doesn't take that so well, you know?
Mm-mm.
And now it's like, you know, Syenite is like, this is why I should see a node.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he explained some of the context, right?
Yeah.
Like, he explained what they do to node maintainers, which is they separate, you know, the higher brain functions from the part of the brain that can cess, basically, because... And they explained this in, I think, chapter 1, how, like, a 2-year-old could calm shakes.
Yeah.
It's just instinctual. Like, origins out of the womb can calm earthquakes.
Yeah.
Right? And it's fine that they do that. Like, there's so much kinetic energy coming at them. There's so much there they can absorb. It's nothing for them to quell shakes in that moment around them. And so that's what they do to make node maintainers. They just remove all of those higher brain functions, and then they keep the body alive.
Yep, and it's a societal, or the people who are not so either good at containing their power, or if they are found too late in life to be trained, are more likely to end up in these places.
And he doesn't talk about it, but I wouldn't be surprised, like, if any origins that had, like, mental issues came about.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
that's where,
you know, physical disabilities. I have no doubt in my mind that they would become node maintainers, too.
Right, right.
Because, like, it's so weird, right? Like, you live in this world that is under threat of constant earthquakes that could just destroy everything. And you have these people that have the ability to protect. But everyone that isn't one of them fears them, but they need them. And so they're like, no, we love node maintainers. Node maintainers are great. But there's just some things node maintainers can't do, right? Node maintainers are literally just to, like, create the stillness.
Yeah. Where they live.
And so...
It all goes full circle.
And so Alabaster is not doing too hot.
No, he's gonna come unglued here.
Yeah.
Which, as he should. That was his son.
Because we realized why this quake happened, right?
Yep.
Which is, the reason why is because node maintainers react to being hurt. And there was some bruising on the kid.
Yeah, and this is icky.
It is icky. Because he talks about people that get off on hurting people without power.
Sounds like... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's giving Guardian a little bit to me.
What do you mean?
The power and control. I feel like I've said that a lot, but like...
Sure.
That, I mean... Maybe not exactly in this case, but definitely, like...
Because what is he... Hold on. He doesn't say much on it, so I want to be correct about it. He says, I'm told there are many who enjoy this sort of thing. A helplessness fetish, basically. They like it more if the victim is aware of what they're doing. So...
Fuck that.
Because he also says that when you do this to a node maintainer, like quelling all of those shakes, even though it's instinctual, it's painful. So it's inhumane to let them be conscious. They have to be medically, chemically, forced to be unconscious.
Yeah.
And so he's alleging that what probably happened is someone was brought to this node because they see the guy, like, she thinks he's a doctor, and he's like, maybe, or maybe just some rich guy. Alabaster's alleging that this guy allowed the node maintainer, his son, to regain consciousness, so that way he could hurt the kid. And the kid naturally reacted and caused this huge, massive quake that they had to quell, which is, of course, why he wanted to get there so quickly, because Alabaster knows. He knows.
Yes.
He knows his son is there. He knows. Actually, did he know, or did he realize when he saw the kid?
No, I think he knew.
Okay, so he knew that this child specifically was made a node maintainer. And so, like, he goes in there, he sees, and he, everything clicks in his mind, but it's got to be kind of spoon-fed to Syenite, because she doesn't know, like...
Yeah, and it's like, she realizes it, and just is just obviously just completely disgusted.
Yeah.
And, like, Alabaster's like, no. This is what... It's... Like, I don't know. I was going to say, this is what we deserve. Like, I don't think he believes that.
He makes reference to the curse.
Right.
That Father Earth inflicts on them.
And he is saying stuff. He's sounding like a guardian. He's saying these things that they are taught to learn about themselves and believe.
Yeah.
And I don't think that, like, he believes those things.
No. And so, did you listen to the audiobook version of this?
Yes, this part.
Yeah. So he was very sarcastic when he said all of that.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't believe.
And he scares her.
Yeah, he does.
And then then he kind of realizes it, I think, and feels a little bad.
And she's plotting to kill him.
Yeah, because she's like, he's not a safe person.
And she's like, where the fuck is your guardian? And he's like, oh, I did away with her a long time ago. But she's not dead.
I know, but what does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
I don't know.
There was another bit much earlier in the chapter where he was talking to her about stone lore. And he's straight up like, do you think the stone lore is set in stone? Do you think that? Because it isn't. Over time, people destroy bits of it. Why do you think they do that? Why do you think we find that stone lore damaged?
I wonder if people would do that on purpose. I mean, everybody's such an upright person. Everyone has such great values in this book. This society, they wouldn't ever do anything wrong.
Well, I want to talk about the implications of node maintainers a little bit.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, why are the Guardians in charge? Who put them in charge? I'm wondering that too, because he also talks about origins of Guardians, right? Like, because after all of this, she wants to really talk to him about their child, because she's in this moment is assuming that she's pregnant.
It could be the future of my child.
Right.
Right.
She's like, what if she doesn't have powers? What if she's not an origin? And he's like, well,
she will be.
They won't. She will be, but what if she isn't? And she's like, well, if she isn't, then she won't go through the training or anything. It's like, will they let her go? Will they let her, like, be adopted into a normal family? And he's like, fuck no. They're gonna make her into a guardian. She's like, fuck, that makes so much sense. Oh my god. And so, like, that's why I think guardians have the powers that I was thinking of earlier. Because while they're not Origins, they still have that in them.
Genius.
Right?
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So it's the lucky ones that get away,
Maybe.
quote unquote. Possibly.
Maybe. I don't know. But because he also talks about some other stuff too. Like, he talks about, we totally glossed over this in the first Syenite chapter. He's like, you're a feral. She's like, now excuse me.
I am not.
You remember that?
No.
So he says you're a feral, and she's like, she'd never heard that one before, but she can glean the meaning, and she's like, now wait just a fucking minute. If you think you can talk to me like that, and he's like, no, that's what they call you.
Because she is not from
She's not from.
She's a mutt.
She's a mutt.
Yes.
She
I do remember this.
She is an origin
okay.
that was born from stillheads.
Right.
Or stills.
I totally remember
because
this.
origins have a slur for all the normals.
Right.
Which is stills. Which is, according to the appendix, short for stillhead.
Love that. Because
they can't cess shit.
Yeah.
All they can cess are big quakes.
Right. Right, because the ground is moving. I wonder what's happening.
So, because he talked about stone lore, and he also, fuck, I'm spacing. What else was he talking about?
You said the Guardians a little bit.
No, at the beginning, what did it?
Oh, in
that earlier chapter, he was talking about ferals, which are like people that were born from normal people. And then in this chapter, he makes a comment like, Father Earth never forgets. Even if, like, our child didn't have our curse, their children would have our curse.
It's sometimes maybe skip a generation, but it's in the bloodline.
And so of course the Guardians are, also kept in the Fulcrum, and of course they're made into Guardians, because they're also part of the system.
Yeah.
So
you can't escape.
The answer to your question, who put them in charge, is, I'm guessing the Guardians put themselves in charge?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if, like, this was the solution, right? Like, the Origins can't be in charge. They're too powerful.
Right.
Put the Guardians in charge.
And then
because
see that mess
because
up.
how can stills control Origins? How is that possible?
They can't. Yeah.
The only possible answer is actually at the end of this chapter, but it's so fucking messed up. So it wasn't in one of the end passages from the chapters we covered in this episode. It was in the last episode when we didn't read this one. It was, so at the end of chapter 4.
Okay.
There was a passage here from Earlset, the 23rd Emperor of the Sansed Equatorial Affiliation, aka the Old Empire, in the 13th year of the Season of Teeth. Comment recorded at a party shortly before the founding of the Fulcrum. Quote, tell them they can be great someday, like us. Tell them they belong among us no matter how we treat them. Tell them they must earn the respect which everyone else receives by default. Tell them there is a standard for acceptance. That standard is simply perfection. Kill those who scoff at these contradictions, and tell the rest that the dead deserved annihilation for their weakness and doubt. Then they'll break themselves, trying for what they'll never achieve. I
remember this.
Feels like a very, very on-the-nose description of the superstructure that is racism in real life.
100%. 100%.
Because that's the reality that so many black people, and just people of color in general, have had to deal with, is this fucked up hierarchical structure of like, no, you're totally one of us. Totally. Absolutely. Yes, you are. You're equal. You just gotta work for it. Really, 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 really hard. It's like, what the fuck.
And the standard is perfection.
Yeah.
Not for white people.
No, not for white people. No, just for every
color.
single migrant that has to work their ass off as a busboy, while meanwhile the white people are just like, wow, he's so fast.
Yeah.
Why is he so fast? Why is he doing that? He doesn't need to be doing that.
No, I remember reading that and thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
and I think it comes back to this, right? Like this whole 10-ring system and like getting more privileges.
Yep.
Like the more powerful you get, the more rings you get, because you get actual physical rings.
Right.
When you get status, but despite all of that, they still have to smile no matter what.
You're still not.
You can't be permitted to cry.
Right.
You have to be like calm and smiling.
Right.
Which is why I think, because there's a few moments here when the facade cracks, but I think it makes reference to him still smiling. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm thinking he's the guy from the prologue, because they make a comment in the prologue about how he's smiling so much.
I see. That's so genius.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
N.K. Jemisin, you write a good book. And
you do.
And you foreshadow real well. I'm really curious to know if I'm right or not.
I think we're gonna find out.
Yeah. It's really cool, isn't it?
I love this book. I think it's so unlike anything I have read.
Yeah.
Like, I read hardly any sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
I did last, maybe, I don't know, would you consider Red Rising sci-fi?
Is Red Rising the one where there's like color casts?
Yes.
And you follow one of the miners who's a red, and then like they make him into a gold?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loved that series.
Yeah. That's like the last sci-fi I've read.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is interesting because it's not sci-fi.
It's not.
Science fantasy,
right.
Which I like because it's still like pretty scientifically accurate, but it's got magic in it, and that's really fun.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see
how it goes.
Ah!
So we will see you guys next time. I want to do the credits at the end again.
Yeah, as you should.
As I should. Because I just keep forgetting until the end. I want to thank Digistory Productions for providing us our sound recordist, Chris Mooney. He's doing great.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Julia, for being my co-host.
Thank you, Ryan. This has been so fun.
Thank you, Midwest Studios, for providing us the space that we have been recording in, and for letting us use the equipment that you so graciously provide. I should mention, hey, so if you're a local, you live in Columbia, Missouri, Vidwest is a really awesome organization. They're, all volunteer based. You just pay a basic subscription, like it's an annual thing or monthly, but they have an annual option too that I think you should do instead. And they provide you the training and the equipment to make whatever, right? Not just podcasts. You can make movies, you can make music videos, like you can make whatever, and they'll teach you how to do it. It's really cool. And that's why we use their space so much. And that's why I thank them. Also, thank you to Jake Weller for providing us our theme music. And if you like his music, you should check out his album, Wasting Time. I will provide a link in the description of the episode. And thank you guys for listening. This is a really awesome book, and I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited that you guys are listening with us. So, thank you, and see you next time. Bye!
Bye!